Retention is often misunderstood as mere holding on or clinging to what we have. But in its truest form, retention is the art of sustained attention, of deliberately choosing where we place our focus, energy, and emotions over time. In a world that constantly urges us to rush, to chase after the next thing, retention requires a certain level of inner mastery. It is not about stagnation, but about the intentional preservation of one's core energies, ideals, and direction in the face of distractions. Men who understand this concept of retention recognize that their power lies not in the momentary flashes of brilliance, but in their ability to stay the course, to persist, and to nurture their vision until it matures. This power isn't just a passive act, it's a dynamic, active practice of holding space for one's purpose, thoughts, and desires without being swayed by external pressures. Retention also involves resistance, not necessarily resistance to change, but resistance to being pulled in a million directions at once. It's a conscious decision to prioritize depth over breadth, meaning over momentary pleasure. In a universe that often rewards those who sprint for instant rewards, the men who understand retention are running a marathon. And the beauty of it is that this sustained effort often goes unnoticed in the short term, but the universe, in its infinite wisdom, begins to reward this consistency in profound ways. The universe doesn't favor the easily distracted or those who are constantly jumping from one trend to the next. It rewards those who retain their focus, who cultivate an enduring sense of purpose and direction, even when the path ahead isn't immediately clear. It rewards the men who, through their retention, develop patience, resilience, and a deep-rooted faith in their ability to navigate the unknown with grace. They become steady in a world of chaos. Ultimately, retention is about creating a stable foundation for growth, just as a tree needs deep roots to withstand storms. Those roots are formed not in the impulsive moments, but in the quiet, deliberate acts of retention that occur when the world around you wants to pull you elsewhere. At the heart of retention lies the deep and often elusive concept of psychological alignment. When a man is aligned with his true self, his thoughts, actions, and desires all resonate with an authentic internal compass. This alignment is not something that can be achieved overnight, nor is it a one-time achievement. It is a continuous, conscious process of tuning into one's inner truth and adjusting one's actions to match that truth. In moments of doubt or distraction, this alignment becomes the foundation that holds steady. Psychological alignment means more than just clarity of purpose. It's the integration of the conscious and unconscious mind. It's the awareness that your outer world reflects the state of your inner world. When you are aligned with your deeper self, when your choices are rooted in an understanding of who you truly are, the universe responds with synchronicity, creating opportunities and situations that mirror your internal harmony. When a man is misaligned, when he is disconnected from his true nature or constantly seeking validation from external sources, life feels fragmented. Decisions are reactive instead of deliberate. Actions are taken not from a place of conviction, but from fear, insecurity, or societal pressures. Misalignment creates friction, and this friction leads to energy depletion, dissatisfaction, and missed opportunities. But when you are aligned, when your inner world and outer world are in sync, there is flow, there is ease. The universe begins to mirror your alignment by rewarding your integrity and authenticity. This alignment requires not only the ability to look inward, but the courage to stay true to what you find. It's about facing the truths that may be uncomfortable or inconvenient. It's about owning your unique path, even if it deviates from conventional norms or expectations. It's about recognizing your strengths and weaknesses, acknowledging your desires, and having the wisdom to follow them without being swayed by the noise of the external world. The universe rewards this because it knows when a man is aligned, he is not just seeking external validation or short-term success. He is working towards a deeper, more enduring fulfillment. Psychological alignment also means facing the contradictions within yourself. The universe does not reward a man who suppresses his contradictions, but rather one who recognizes them and works to integrate them. By doing so, he becomes whole, and in his wholeness, he attracts the conditions that allow him to fulfill his potential. When you are in alignment with yourself, the universe aligns with you, rewarding your commitment to living authentically. The universe operates by principles that are often subtle but profoundly impactful. One of the most important of these principles is the law of cause and effect. Every action, every thought, every decision has an energy that ripples outward, creating consequences that eventually return in some form. Men who understand the intricacies of this law recognize that their efforts today are the seeds for their outcomes tomorrow. This is not merely about external actions, but the energy they invest in every moment, every interaction, and every choice. The law of cause and effect teaches that nothing exists in isolation. Every choice, no matter how small, carries with it an inherent consequence. When a man makes decisions based on short-term desires, impatience, or a lack of awareness, the universe reflects that choice through chaotic or unsatisfying outcomes. However, when a man practices retention, when he exercises restraint, patience, and careful consideration of his actions, the cause he sets in motion is one of stability, growth, and eventual success. Retention in this context is a form of conscious action. It's not simply about holding on to what you have, but about carefully choosing where you direct your energy. When you retain your focus on meaningful pursuits, the universe acknowledges the depth of your investment. It responds by aligning the environment around you to support the direction you've chosen. The cause, your sustained effort, your focused intention will eventually produce an effect that matches the energy you've put forth. There's a certain delay in this process. The universe doesn't always provide immediate rewards for your actions, which is where the power of retention comes into play. It requires faith. It requires trusting that the seeds you plant today will bear fruit in time. When men fail to recognize the long-term effects of their present actions, they fall into the trap of impatience. They seek quick fixes and immediate returns, not realizing that the true rewards come from sustained effort and thoughtful decisions made over time. The law of cause and effect also highlights the relationship between internal and external worlds. When a man works on himself, his thoughts, his mindset, his emotional control, the effect of these internal changes manifests in the external world. Positive inner growth leads to positive external outcomes, while inner turmoil or dissonance creates external chaos. The universe, recognizing the alignment of internal change and external results, begins to reward those who understand this dynamic, drawing opportunities and circumstances that are in harmony with the causes they've initiated within themselves. The beauty of this law is that it's impartial. It doesn't judge, but it reflects. The universe rewards the man who understands that what he creates today will return to him tomorrow. By committing to the retention of his energy, his intentions, and his actions, he ensures that the effects will be ones of growth, wisdom, and fulfillment. In today's fast-paced, constantly changing world, the notion of stillness can seem foreign, almost impractical. We live in an age of perpetual motion, digital notifications, endless tasks, and an overwhelming flow of information. Yet, it is precisely in this environment of noise and distraction that the ability to embrace stillness becomes a powerful, even necessary, skill. Men who learn to cultivate moments of stillness amidst the chaos unlock a deeper connection to themselves and the universe. Stillness is not about passivity or detachment from life. Rather, it's about creating a space of mental and emotional clarity, a sanctuary of sorts within the mind, where distractions are gently set aside in favor of a deeper, more intentional focus. It's in this stillness that a man can access his true inner wisdom. In a world where so many are constantly chasing, running, or reacting, stillness offers the opportunity to pause, reflect, and realign. The ability to sit quietly with one's thoughts allows for a deeper understanding of the self, one's motivations, desires, and fears. In this clarity, the decisions a man makes become more conscious, more deliberate, and more aligned with his true path. The universe rewards those who take the time to be still, because in stillness, a person is no longer swept up in the surface-level rush of life. Instead, they tap into the deeper currents beneath the chaos, currents of intuition, wisdom, and insight that often go unnoticed by those caught in the whirlpool of constant movement. By taking the time to retreat inward, a man is able to connect to a larger flow, one that is less about effort and more about allowing. The universe, in all its complexity, often doesn't respond to frantic, rushed action. It rewards those who can step back, take a breath, and trust that their true path will reveal itself when they are open to receiving it. Stillness also allows for the cultivation of patience. In a world that glorifies instant results, the man who understands stillness recognizes that some things cannot be rushed. Nature itself moves at its own pace, seasons change in their own time, trees grow slowly, and the stars follow their cyclical paths without hurry. A man who embraces stillness learns to mirror this natural rhythm, understanding that true success, fulfillment, and growth cannot be forced. By practicing retention, by holding space for things to unfold naturally, he aligns himself with the universal flow, trusting that everything has its proper time. This embrace of stillness is not about withdrawing from the world, but rather about learning to be present within it. It's about being so grounded in your own center that the noise around you no longer pulls you off course. Instead of reacting to every distraction or challenge, the still man responds with calmness, clarity, and thoughtful action. The universe sees this equilibrium, and it responds with opportunities, insight, and rewards that align with his steady, unwavering presence. The foundation of a man's external success and fulfillment begins with mastery of his inner world. In a world that values outward achievement, whether in the form of career success, relationships, or material wealth, it's easy to overlook the importance of what is happening within. However, true power and transformation stem not from the external, but from the ability to govern one's thoughts, emotions, impulses, and desires. Men who master their inner world become architects of their destiny, because what happens within shapes everything that happens outside. Mastery of the inner world is not about suppressing emotions or controlling every thought. Rather, it is about cultivating awareness and emotional intelligence, an understanding of the inner workings of the mind, the motivations behind actions, and the way in which feelings can influence perception and behavior. When a man is in command of his inner state, He is not at the mercy of his impulses, fears, or fleeting desires. He becomes a conscious creator of his experience, able to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. One key aspect of this mastery is the ability to direct one's focus. In a society that thrives on distraction, the man who can control his attention becomes invincible. By choosing where to direct his mental energy, he decides which ideas, projects, and aspirations he will nurture, and which ones will fade into the background. The universe rewards this focused attention because it knows that a man who masters his inner world creates conditions for deep, sustained growth. When a man is able to focus his mind, he opens the door to profound transformation, not just in his personal life, but in the broader world around him. This inner mastery also involves managing emotions. It's easy to get swept away by feelings of anger, frustration, or anxiety, especially when external circumstances challenge us. But the man who understands his emotional landscape can navigate even the stormiest of situations with grace. He recognizes that emotions, while powerful, are temporary, and they do not have to dictate his behavior or decisions. Instead, he learns to observe his feelings without becoming consumed by them, allowing him to make more rational, thoughtful choices. The universe rewards emotional mastery by bringing more stable and fulfilling circumstances into his life. Calmness and emotional intelligence create space for wisdom and opportunity to enter. Furthermore, mastery of the inner world requires the ability to accept and integrate one's shadows, the parts of the self that are often hidden or rejected. Every person has a dark side, aspects of themselves they may not be proud of or try to suppress. But a man who truly understands himself does not shy away from these aspects. Instead, he brings them into consciousness, examining them with compassion and curiosity. By acknowledging and integrating his darker traits, he frees himself from their unconscious influence. This internal integration creates wholeness, and it is from this wholeness that true power arises. The universe rewards this wholeness by attracting situations, relationships, and opportunities that mirror this balance. Mastery of the inner world is also about self-discipline. In a culture that encourages instant gratification and indulgence, the man who practices restraint, who can delay gratification in pursuit of higher goals, demonstrates a level of self-mastery that the universe acknowledges. The energy spent in building inner discipline radiates outward, attracting greater success and fulfillment. Retention of one's energy, not allowing it to be scattered by distractions or impulses, creates the foundation for achieving long-term goals. The universe rewards such discipline by offering the tools, wisdom, and circumstances that align with a man's sustained effort and focused direction. Ultimately, when a man masters his inner world, he gains the power to shape his reality. He is no longer a passive observer, subject to the whims of external circumstances or fleeting emotions. Instead, he becomes the conscious creator of his experience, moving through the world with clarity, purpose, and alignment. The universe, in its response, rewards him with opportunities, growth, and success that reflect his inner strength and wisdom. Adversity is an inevitable part of life, an ever-present force that challenges, tests, and shapes us. However, it is not the adversity itself that determines a man's success or failure, but how he endures it. The ability to persevere, to remain steadfast and resolute despite challenges, is one of the most powerful forms of retention. It is easy to remain committed when things are going well, but it is in the face of difficulty that true strength is forged. Men who endure adversity do not see setbacks as permanent roadblocks, but as temporary circumstances, moments to learn, grow, and refine their character. They understand that resistance is not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced. Every obstacle, every hardship, provides an opportunity to cultivate inner resilience. When life pushes against them, they do not crumble or break. Instead, they find ways to adapt, recalibrate, and push forward with even greater determination. This endurance is rooted in the understanding that life is cyclical. Challenges rise and fall, but they do not last forever. A man who can retain his focus and stay committed through difficult times is demonstrating a deeper understanding of the natural rhythm of the universe. The universe does not reward those who give up in the face of adversity, nor does it favor those who seek the easy way out. It rewards those who endure, who continue to put one foot in front of the other, even when the path seems uncertain or overwhelming. Endurance, in this sense, is not about forcing things to happen or pushing beyond one's limits in a reckless way. It's about knowing when to exert effort and when to step back, when to continue moving forward and when to take a moment to regroup. The key is in knowing that the discomfort of today is often the fertile soil for tomorrow's growth. Those who endure through life's trials with patience and mindfulness will find that adversity gradually gives way to new opportunities, fresh perspectives, and greater strength. The ability to endure also involves emotional resilience. Adversity often brings up feelings of fear, frustration, or sadness, emotions that can be overwhelming. But the man who understands endurance knows that emotions, while powerful, are temporary. He doesn't allow himself to be swept away by the emotional turbulence of the moment. Instead, he creates space to acknowledge his feelings without letting them dictate his actions. This emotional steadiness allows him to think clearly, make better decisions, and remain focused on his long-term goals, rather than reacting impulsively to the difficulties at hand. Moreover, endurance requires an unwavering belief in the process. There will be moments when the road seems long and the destination distant. But the men who endure adversity do so because they trust that the universe rewards persistence and resilience. They understand that there is a greater plan at work, one that unfolds in its own time. Their ability to retain their commitment, even when the results aren't immediately visible, aligns them with a deeper flow of the universe. The universe rewards this quiet faith and determination with eventual breakthroughs, often when least expected. In a world that glorifies quick wins and instant gratification, endurance through adversity stands as a reminder that true achievement and growth are often the results of long-term commitment. The man who continues to rise after every fall, who adapts, who learns, and who persists, finds himself rewarded not only with success but with wisdom, strength, and a deeper connection to universal forces that shape his life. Detachment, often misunderstood as indifference or emotional withdrawal, is, in truth, one of the most sacred practices a man can embrace. It is not about turning away from life or abandoning relationships or responsibilities, but rather about cultivating the ability to let go of attachment to outcomes, possessions, and even emotions. In a world that thrives on attachment, where success is often measured by accumulation and control, detachment offers a powerful antidote, one that aligns a man with the deeper, often hidden flow of the universe. At its core, detachment is about freeing oneself from the need to possess or control every aspect of life. It's the understanding that attachment to outcomes often leads to suffering, When a man is overly attached to a specific result, he loses sight of the bigger picture. His focus narrows, and he becomes fixated on what he believes he needs or deserves. This narrow focus can distort his perception, leading him to make decisions based on fear, anxiety, or a deep-seated sense of lack. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, does not reward this kind of grasping, but rather those who can surrender the need for control and allow the natural course of events to unfold. Detachment does not mean a lack of care or passion. A man can still pursue his goals, build relationships, and invest in his dreams with full commitment. What detachment asks for is a release of the outcome. It's the understanding that while we can put forth our best effort, we do not control everything. Life's unfolding is not something that can be micromanaged, and when a man lets go of the need to steer every aspect of his life, he opens himself to a greater flow of energy. The universe rewards this kind of surrender with unexpected gifts, opportunities that may be beyond what he initially imagined, but that are in perfect alignment with his deeper needs and desires. Detachment also involves letting go of the ego's need for recognition. Many people are driven by the desire for validation, whether through social status, material wealth, or external achievements. While these things may offer temporary satisfaction, they do not bring lasting fulfillment. A man who practices detachment understands that his worth does not lie in the accolades he receives, the praise he garners, or the things he owns. His sense of self is rooted in something deeper: his inner integrity, his ability to be true to his values, and his alignment with his higher purpose. When he can release the ego's demands for approval, the universe rewards him with an authentic sense of peace and fulfillment, one that is not contingent on external circumstances. This sacred art of detachment also extends to the relationships we hold. While connection with others is an essential part of life, attachment to people can sometimes lead to dependence, expectations, or even manipulation. The more a man clings to a relationship or a specific person, the more he risks losing his sense of self in the process. Detachment in this context allows him to love and care for others without the need to control or possess them. It creates space for healthier, more balanced relationships, ones based on mutual respect, trust, and freedom. By practicing this form of emotional release, he also invites deeper connections that are not bound by codependency, but by genuine, unconditional love. Furthermore, detachment offers a powerful release from past hurts and grievances. Many people carry with them the weight of unresolved issues, old grudges, or painful experiences. These attachments to past pain keep individuals stuck in a loop of suffering. Detachment invites a man to release these old wounds, not by forgetting or denying them, but by no longer allowing them to define his present moment. It is the recognition that holding on to the past only prevents new growth. By letting go of old hurts, a man makes room for new experiences, new opportunities, and a fresh perspective on life. In the grand scheme, detachment is about aligning oneself with the flow of life. The universe rewards those who can release their attachment to fixed outcomes because they are able to ride the wave of life rather than resist it. Detachment is a form of trust that, in the end, everything will unfold as it is meant to. This trust allows the universe to work in its own time and way, bringing forth results that are often far more aligned with the man's true purpose than he could have imagined through his own efforts. Energy is the most fundamental currency of life, and how a man chooses to manage and direct his energy determines the course of his existence. In a world that often pushes people to spread themselves thin, to chase every opportunity or to engage in constant motion, the man who understands the power of energy preservation becomes master of his destiny. This is not merely about conserving physical energy. It is about protecting and directing all forms of energy, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. When a man learns to retain his energy, he opens the door to a greater level of personal power and transformation. Energy preservation begins with awareness. It's the recognition that every action, every thought, every interaction requires energy. Too often, people waste energy on trivial matters, unnecessary drama, negative thoughts, or actions that don't align with their true purpose. These energy drains, though seemingly small in the moment, accumulate over time, leaving a person depleted and unfocused. The man who practices retention understands this, and he chooses to guard his energy fiercely. He is selective about where and how he invests his attention and effort, knowing that every ounce of energy he expends should contribute to his long-term vision. But energy preservation is only part of the equation. The true power lies in energy transmutation, the ability to transform and redirect energy from one form to another. This is the alchemical process of taking raw, untapped potential and transmuting it into something valuable. When a man feels frustrated or angry, instead of allowing these emotions to dissipate in unhealthy ways, he redirects them into action, creativity, or insight. When faced with fear or uncertainty, he channels that energy into resilience, problem-solving, or strategic thinking. This ability to transmute energy is a hallmark of inner strength. For example, when a man encounters a setback, many would let the energy of disappointment drain them. But the man who has mastered energy transmutation transforms this frustration into motivation. He uses the negative emotion as fuel for progress, rather than allowing it to diminish his power. Similarly, when faced with moments of fatigue, rather than succumbing to the desire for immediate rest or escape, he learns to conserve his energy in productive ways, perhaps through deep focus or strategic rest, ensuring that he is always in alignment with his goals. Transmuting energy also means shifting it from the external to the internal. In a world that constantly demands external validation through social media, work achievements, or material gains, the man who understands energy retention and transmutation knows that true power comes from within. He directs his energy inward, cultivating a sense of self, mastery, and internal strength, rather than seeking constant affirmation from outside sources. By doing so, he becomes impervious to the ups and downs of external circumstances, grounded in his own sense of purpose and worth. The ability to preserve and transmute energy is also essential in the pursuit of long-term goals. Building a successful life, whether in career, relationships, or personal development, requires consistent effort over time. The man who scatters his energy across many pursuits, without regard for where it is most needed, will find himself constantly exhausted and unfulfilled. The man who retains his energy, focusing on what truly matters, creates a concentrated force of power that accelerates his progress. He is like a river, steadily carving its path through rock, while others rush around like scattered droplets of water. On a deeper level, energy preservation and transmutation are tied to the cultivation of spiritual power. The universe operates on energetic principles. Every thought, every emotion, every action sends out ripples into the cosmos. The man who understands this works not only to preserve his own energy, but to align his energy with the greater flow of the universe. This alignment invites synchronicity, opportunities, and support from forces greater than the individual. It is through this energetic harmony that the universe rewards a man, offering him the wisdom, clarity, and resources needed to achieve his highest potential. In addition, by preserving and transmuting energy, a man builds a strong internal reservoir from which he can draw when the time comes to take action. It is not about avoiding life's challenges, but about meeting them with a level of vitality that is sustainable. By mastering the art of energy preservation and transmutation, he not only survives the demands of life but thrives, using every ounce of his being to move closer to his goals while maintaining equilibrium. The universe rewards this mastery, recognizing a man who is in tune with his own power and knows how to channel it wisely. Purpose is the guiding force in a man's life, his true north, the driving energy that shapes his decisions, actions, and path forward. Vision is the clarity through which this purpose is realized, an image of what is possible, a blueprint of what could be. When a man aligns his daily efforts with a deeper sense of purpose, when his actions and thoughts are rooted in a vision that transcends the momentary and superficial, he taps into a profound source of power. The universe, recognizing this alignment, begins to support and reward it in ways that go beyond mere coincidence or luck. The first step toward this alignment is the discovery of purpose. Many people go through life unaware of their true calling, driven instead by external expectations, societal pressures, or the pursuit of temporary desires. These people often feel disconnected, as though they are moving through life on autopilot, responding to circumstances rather than actively shaping them. But a man who knows his purpose is driven by something far deeper. He is connected to a force that transcends the individual, tapping into a timeless and universal energy that shapes his life's direction. Discovering one's purpose requires introspection, courage, and patience. It is not something that can be handed to you by others or acquired through external validation. Purpose is deeply personal, and it is often revealed through experiences, challenges, and self-exploration. The man who seeks purpose actively engages with his inner world, listening to his intuition and allowing his deeper self to guide him. This process of discovery, though sometimes challenging, leads to a clarity that transforms how a man sees the world and his role within it. Once a man knows his purpose, the universe begins to align circumstances, opportunities, and people that resonate with that purpose. This synchronicity is not an accident. It is a natural consequence of a man stepping into his true path. With purpose comes vision, the ability to see where that purpose can take him. Vision is the blueprint of what's possible, a clear mental image of the future that aligns with one's deepest values and desires. A man with a vision doesn't simply react to life as it comes. He creates the life he desires with intention and clarity. His vision provides him with the focus and direction needed to navigate through distractions and obstacles. While others may drift aimlessly or chase fleeting goals, the man with a clear vision keeps his eyes on the prize, unwavering in his pursuit. This vision is dynamic. It evolves as he grows, adapts, and learns. It is not a rigid, static image, but a living, breathing idea that shifts with the man's expanding understanding of the world and himself. What remains constant is the underlying purpose that fuels the vision, and because his vision is rooted in purpose, it carries an inherent energy that attracts the universe's support. The universe recognizes the man who operates with intention and clarity, whose every decision, every action, and every thought is aligned with a deeper mission. Alignment between purpose and vision creates a powerful resonance that radiates outward, attracting the resources, people, and opportunities that are in harmony with that energy. The universe, acting like a mirror, reflects the alignment a man has within himself. When he aligns his purpose with his vision, he becomes a magnet for opportunities that resonate with that alignment. It is not about force or struggle, but about becoming a clear conduit through which the energy of the universe flows naturally, effortlessly. A man's alignment with purpose and vision also generates an unshakable sense of direction. In a world filled with distractions, doubts, and shifting trends, this clarity serves as an anchor. No matter how turbulent the waters of life become, the man who is aligned with his purpose remains grounded. His vision guides him through periods of uncertainty, helping him stay true to his path even when the external world may pull him in multiple directions. Moreover, alignment with purpose and vision is the foundation for sustained motivation. It is easy to become discouraged or lose momentum when pursuing goals that lack deep meaning. But when a man is aligned with a higher purpose, each step, no matter how small, feels like part of a greater journey. His energy remains high, his commitment unwavering, because he knows that each action he takes is contributing to something larger than himself. The universe rewards this steadfast commitment by supporting his efforts, providing the necessary tools, insights, and opportunities that bring his vision to fruition. Ultimately, the alignment of purpose and vision is not just about personal achievement. It is about becoming part of a larger, universal flow. A man who is aligned with his true purpose and has a clear vision of how to fulfill it becomes an instrument of higher forces. The universe recognizes his alignment and rewards him not just with material success, but with a deeper sense of fulfillment, wisdom, and connection to the greater whole.